Welcome everybody here to this really, truly historic event of the Stop the Frack Summit, the international summit that we've all been called to. And my name is Duncan Campbell. I've been asked by my great friend Shane Davis to make an introduction to a man who in this group really needs no introduction. But I thought I'd say a couple of personal things of why I so admire him and what has drawn me to not only his work, but to this particularly what I regard as a truly historic gathering. The first thing I might say is that this t-shirt that I'm wearing here, you might see, is from my wife's Haida tribe, and it's Raven Brings the Light. And so I see this is really our mission. All of us has a mission in one form or another with our unique gifts to bring light to the situation that we are in, the crises that we have in our planet, and to bring a sense of real warriorship and compassion to the situation, both of which are in very large supply with my great friend Shane Davis. I saw these words of Theo Colburn when she was unable to get out at a certain point in her life and bring her gift. She said, "Shane is my feet on the ground. I trust him implicitly," because she knew that whatever data he was bringing back or whatever insights would have been thorough, and he would bring it back with complete integrity and without any personal bias. So that the concluding quotation I'd like to just end with is from a professor, a mutual friend of ours in Boulder, who said very epigrammatically, just very concisely, "Shane's brilliant analysis of public information is heroism at an international scale." And so I think we're all being invited to be on this hero and hero's journey together, and to be with our great friend Shane Davis and all the friends that we're going to make and meet that we don't know each other at this very moment before this is over on Sunday night. So with that, Shane.
Thank you very much. It's pretty powerful when it comes from more powerful people than us. Thank you all for coming to the third annual Stop the Frack Attack Summit and Action Day. One of our many purposes here is to escalate the fight between communities and the oil and gas industry. I want to give Mr. Robbie Gizu, where are you, Robbie? Robbie. Must have failed. Anyways, Robbie's the brilliant mind behind putting all the logistics together, and all the great volunteers, and the advisory council for Stop the Frack Attack as well. Since the last national summit in Dallas in 2013, communities have won fracking-related victories in California, Colorado, Maryland, New York, Texas, and many, many other local communities across the United States. Oil prices are at their lowest they've been in a decade, and the fracking-driven oil and gas industry is in the midst of a severe decline. In combination, these factors suggest the nationwide fracking movement is at a turning point. Might we say a social and energy revolution? That's our goal. This is a turning point where communities can collectively gain the upper hand in the fight to protect their health, safety, and welfare against a malevolent oil and gas industry. The goal of this summit is to help make that potential a reality. As I mentioned, there are people from 30 states here. That's 60% of the United States. We have people from, and when I call your state, please raise your hand, Alaska, California, Colorado, DC, Florida, Iowa, Idaho, Illinois, Kentucky, Maine, Minnesota, Montana, North Carolina, Nebraska, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, PA, love it, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, Virginia, Washington, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Yeah. Right? We are a United State of resistance right here. What an incredible collective of solidarity and wisdom we embrace in this room. Each one of you have your own unique battles, but are fighting the same fossil fuel pollution empire, imposing its harms against the poor and marginalized, and against our ecosystems, and ultimately destroying our climate. The fracking industry is so intoxicated and bloated with greed that it has moved now into our backyards, near our playgrounds, near our schools, near our hospitals, universities, daycares, state parks, national grasslands, and has its sights on the rest of our public lands across America unless we stop them. My involvement as an activist against fracking in Colorado has been a long, long road. I've worked with so many great organizations locally and nationally. One of my greatest memories, as Duncan pointed out, was working with EO, Dr. Colborn, the late Dr. Colborn. She was the founder of the Endocrine Disruption Exchange. She was an astonishing scientific activist. It's where science meets morality. Separating the two is really important as a scientist because science is objective. There's no personal bias that sort of influences the outcome. Theo was razor sharp in balancing both of those. So I had the honor to work with her for about 3 years. She said, "Deep inside everyone, there is something bigger and stronger than we are aware of at this time that cannot be suppressed by man-made chemicals. Something that will prompt some very exceptional leadership to step forward with courage and to turn off corporate control of the government and the world and take back for society what it needs to thrive." And that's all of you. All of you. It was in 2011 when I was going through reviewing tens of thousands of official industry documents that I came across some documents that I realized the fracking industry's federal exemptions actually had stripped our civil rights to safety. We could no longer protect ourselves. The federal exemptions the fracking industry lobbied, created, and enjoyed were violating our civil rights, and we needed to tell the world and find a way to reform them immediately. We could not protect ourselves in the fossil fuel pollution empire, and we still can. But we need to, and we will. That day in 2011, I realized this was not just an anti-fracking movement anymore, but a jaw-dropping civil rights movement of epic proportion. All of you have committed to resist this toxic fossil fuel invasion and have unified as a movement without borders in the pursuit of preserving humanity and justice. And we will take back our civil rights and fortify our communities with morality and law that favors people, not corporations, and favors nature and not man-made pseudo-profits.
Yeah.
Thank you all for your absolute tenacity. Thank you for your unwavering leadership and personal sacrifice in the face of monumental odds. It is our duty to assist our neighbors and affected peoples, dismantle and reconstruct laws that favor a healthy, vibrant, planetary existence for all creatures that can thrive without a dirty, ugly, toxic fossil fuel. And it is our duty to protect those laws that we reform into perpetuity for the preservation of all future generations. As my great friend Winona says, we are not protesters, we are protectors. We are protecting our water and our lands. We are protecting our air and climate. We are protecting all ecosystems on Earth that have the right to thrive. We are protecting our climate from annihilation from the fossil fuel pollution empire. We are protecting our civil rights. Why are we protectors? Because we love. We love humanity and justice, and we will protect them all. Che Guevara was interviewed in the 60s. They asked him, "What is the most important quality for a revolutionary to possess?" His answer was love. Love of humanity, love of all creatures on earth, love of justice and truth. Love is the most important quality for a revolutionary to possess. We all came here because we love something. We love each other, we love water, we love air, we love our health, our safety and welfare. What we have is an energy revolution that is at our feet, and we are the boots on the ground that this revolution wants to be. We are the energy of change. And from this day forward, it is our goal to change the energy we have been enslaved into with viable forms of healthy energy democracy in every community across America and the world. Che also said, a real revolutionary goes where he or she is needed. So I thank all of you for coming here where you were needed. We called you, you came. And we will come to you when you need us. Thank you for educating communities, counting votes, agreeing with our differences, working tirelessly and into the night. Thank you for spending time in jail simply for protecting that which you love. Missing your child's school event, spending time away from family and friends, not taking vacations. Thank you for your sufferings. You went where you were needed. You are a real revolutionary. In Colorado, we have 55,000 active fracking wells. The industry is set to have over 100,000, and they're coming to your backyard. No matter where you are, they will come to you because they believe their coexistence with you should be imposed without your rights. Weld County has over 25,000 active wells right up there. I did a random analysis study of 1,000 spills, and 40% of every operator spill already resulted in groundwater contamination. There's no industry in the world that should be able to operate with this epic failure. It's ridiculous. In 2012, I discovered a setback loophole. 16 billion gallons of toxic industrial wastewater is created every year by the fracking industry here, just in Colorado. There's an ocean of toxic fluids underneath our feet, caused by the oil and gas industry.
Yes, I know.
Back to Colorado. In 2012 and 13, activists faced the industry's $20 to $30 million. We only had tens of thousands of dollars. But in Broomfield, Lafayette, Longmont, Fort Collins, and Boulder County, we enacted bans on fracking or moratoria. We soon realized that we could, and we proved essentially that the criminal empire's money is nearly worthless. Personal sacrifice will beat their money every time. It's one thing they don't have is a heartbeat. Remember? They're a corporation. We do. We can kick their ass every time. I'll try to wrap this up. Colorado's Governor John Hickenlooper, or better known as Frackenlooper, has gone to war against good science and anyone opposing the fracking industry. He is suing our communities for protecting their health, safety, and welfare against the harmful industry's pollution and activities. He's purposely omitted grassroots from being at stakeholdership meetings. He calls their AstroTurf or their grassroots organizations a viable medium and platform to understand what we are talking about. It's pretty amazing. I've had an ongoing invitation to him for over 4 years so I can show him his own information, his own data, his state of failures. Sure, it's an inconvenient proof to him, but it's what we need to beat them. We have reached a new stage in history of resounding sacrifices, suffering, and misery for the peoples of America and abroad, who are now facing and resisting the colonial system of imperialism once again. It hasn't gone anywhere. We're just seeing it now in white communities. We're seeing it everywhere now. It's always been here. We just need to wake our consciousness up and realize that we no longer have any rights to safety. This is the time when we need to shape the political and economic fracking industry's empire and their rule over global fossil fuel energy consumptions. 50 years ago, Che Guevara, the revolutionary humanitarian, fought selflessly against similar ruling forces that were harming local communities. Che's personal sacrifice was in curing the poor and the marginalized people's maladies caused by political injustices. He was a physician first, a doctor who cared deeply for others. Che asserted his moral obligation and went to the source of the problem, and the solution was to defeat the political systems that caused the social injustice, which caused those endemic maladies, poverty and misery. That's what we are doing. We are going there, and we are helping communities. You're here today in Colorado to help us. We've gathered over 300,000 to 500,000 activists who oppose fracking in Colorado. Che's personal sacrifice was to end suffering and misery in communities and establish a system that would provide communities with the power to protect themselves and provide a healthy, fair system for the people to thrive in a safe environment. 50 years later, we're faced with a very similar monster. Corporate capitalist empire, oil and gas industry. Climate change was yesterday. We're in a climate crisis now. We cannot have a political revolution without a social revolution first. We must understand that the system it's not broken. It was designed that way. It was created by those who it favors the most, which is definitely not us. Fracking is an ugly technology. Dr. Graffia points out. And it is anti-progress towards healthy perpetual energy. We are smarter than a fossil fuel and have the intellect to transform global energy. We must become the government that we want to see. Our moral indignation and information against our enemy is not enough to compete. We will have zero influence on the political empires unless we get into the state and transform it and become it. We must get into the state, transform it, and become it. We are the state. We must rise to meet a new life and demand the unrestricted right to self-determination and to the independent development of our own communities. We have the right to democracy of all kinds, including energy democracy. You are the energy of change. Like Che, we are facing Herculean obstacles in our pursuit to halt the harm caused by the empire pollution. It is our moral obligation to fight for a purpose higher than self. And that in itself is a revolution. You are on the right side of history. You are the energy of change. So let's get to work.